The United States of America was founded on the ideal of religious freedom, and thus, religion is deeply embedded into many issues in America today, regardless of one's political leaning. This piece will analyze basic religious issues that were and still are relevant to the founding of this great country. We will begin by identifying the religious themes that are present in the aims and principles of each of our government's two political parties to show the modern-day relationship between the religious and secular segments of our government. The 2012 Republican platform contains 10 references to God and 19 references to faith. Faith is used mainly when referring to faith-based organizations. The Democratic platform for that same year contains 10 references to faith and 1 reference to God-given potential in the Moving America Forward section of the platform. The following recordings are of Governor Mitt Romney and President Barack Obama talking about religious-related issues, including gay marriage, abortion, and contraception. First, we will hear President Barack Obama in his 2012 Democratic National Convention video about gay marriage entitled Stronger Together.
I could not be prouder of the work that we've done on behalf of the LGBT community. It's no secret that progress has been incredibly difficult. It's about our capacity to love and commit to one another. It's about whether or not we value as a society that love and commitment. It's about our common humanity and our willingness to walk in someone else's shoes. To imagine worrying about a spouse in the hospital with the added fear that you'll have to produce a legal document just to comfort the person you love. To imagine the pain of losing a partner of decades and then discovering that the law treats you like a stranger. We still have a long way to go, but we will get there. My expectation is that when you look back on these years, you will see a time in which we put a stop to discrimination against gays and lesbians. You will see a time in which we as a nation finally recognize relationships between two men or two women as just as real and admirable as relationships between a man and a woman. You will see a nation that's valuing and cherishing these families as we build a more perfect union. Where no matter what you look like or where you come from or who you love, you can dream big dreams.
Next, we will hear Mitt Romney discuss his actions when dealing with religiously sensitive topics.
I vetoed bills that authorized embryo farming, therapeutic cloning, Plan B, emergency contraception, and of course a redefinition of when life was going to begin as well.
See if I can get my arms around everybody. Come on, much closer.
Frankly, in the bluest of states, facing the most liberal media in the country, I've led the fight to preserve traditional marriage. I've taken every legal step I could conceive of to prevent same.
Clearly, there are differing opinions about religious issues today, just as there were on religious issues in the 1600s and 1700s. But the goal of this piece is not to delve into our religious issues, but rather to give insight on how such issues are embedded into political theory as a whole. And now that we have seen the way politicians handle these issues today, we will examine the issues of religious freedom, diversity, freedom of worship, and the separation of church and state as discussed by political experts when said issues were controversial. The pieces that will be discussed are John Rousseau's Social Contract, Joseph Priestley's essay entitled The First Principles of Government, and John Locke's letter concerning toleration. We will start with Rousseau's Social Contract, in which he describes 3 types of religion and the roles that they play in government. The first type of religion that Rousseau mentions does not involve the state in any way. It is simply between the divine and the man. According to Rousseau, this is the religion of the gospel, pure and simple, the true theism, what may be called natural divine right of law. The second type of religion is one that is intertwined into the laws and culture of an entire nation. The integration of religion into the state serves to foster hate and intolerance for other religions and nations. This is a major problem, according to Rousseau, who states that, quote, all that destroys social unity is worthless. The third type of religion described by Rousseau is one in which a set of laws is made for both religious and civil purposes. He claims that this type of religion is, quote, so clearly bad that it is a waste of time to stop and prove it such. Rousseau then brings to the forefront the idea of religious freedom. He states that, although every citizen should have a religion, the dogmas and practices of that religion should be of no concern to the governing body. This is a rather progressive idea for that time. It is also one that falls in line with the current ideals of American government, as outlined in the First Amendment of the Constitution. Although Rousseau brings up the idea of religious freedom, he does not fully support it when governmental operations are called into question. Rousseau entertains the idea also of a strong relationship between church and state that would allow the state to erect a civil religion that allows for banishment of citizens that do not align themselves with the required dogma. This section of the social contract reads, quote, there is therefore a purely civil profession of faith of which the sovereign should fix the articles, not exactly as religious dogmas, but as social sentiments without which a man cannot be a good citizen or a faithful subject. While it can compel no one to believe them, it can banish from the state whoever does not believe them. It can banish him, not for impiety, but as an antisocial being, incapable of truly loving the laws and justice, and of sacrificing, at need, his life to his duty. If anyone, after publicly recognizing these dogmas, behaves as if he does not believe them, let him be punished by death. He has committed the worst of all crimes, that of lying before the law. Although Rousseau specifies that the rules that can be erected by the government need not be religious, required beliefs have proven to be detrimental in politics and are therefore not viable in a successful political system such as ours today. The next piece we'll examine is John Locke's letter concerning toleration. In his letter, unlike Rousseau, Locke makes a strong case against church and state being one. It is a notable piece that contains ideas that will later be included in the Declaration of Independence, as well as the First Amendment to the Constitution. Locke believed in religious freedom and diversity of religions that he believed prevented civil unrest. Locke believed that a church should gain new members based on persuasion rather than by violence or force. Locke brings to the forefront an important point about every citizen's God-given right to choose his or her religion. In the section where he reads, quote, first, because of the care of souls is not committed to the civil magistrate, any more than other man. It is not committed unto him, I say, by God, because it appears not that God has ever given any such authority to one man over another as to compel anyone to his religion. Nor can any such power be vested in the magistrate by the consent of the people, because no man can so far abandon the care of his own salvation as blindly to leave to the choice of any other, whether prince or subject, to prescribe to him what faith or worship he shall embrace. Locke is correct in both of his assessments, which are powerful but simple. Since its conception, unlike some other countries, the United States government has granted its citizens the freedom to choose what religion they practice or do not practice. There has not been a civil war over religion in America like there has been in countries like Israel, India, Pakistan, China, and Ethiopia, where violence and force are used to spread and defend religious rights on a daily basis. Our final pre-21st century piece on political theory is Joseph Priestley's essay entitled The First Principles of Government. Joseph Priestley was a British Renaissance man who was also a dissenter, meaning he did not accept the Church of England. He was later forced to leave Yorkshire, England, for the work he did regarding religion, such as this essay written in 1768. This text reiterates many points made by John Locke in his essay entitled The Two Treatises on Government. In addition to this, he mentions the importance of creating separate private and public sectors. He stresses the separation of church and state during a time where Britain limited the rights of people who did not accept the Church of England. A quote from the essay reads, "Those societies have ever enjoyed the most happiness, and have been, ceteris paribus, in the most flourishing state, where the civil magistrates have meddled the least with religion, and where they have the most closely confined their attention to what immediately affects the civil interests of their fellow citizens." Here, Priestley describes the societies that have established the ideal relationship between citizens' private and public lives. Much like in the United States, Priestley believes that those in charge of government should only concern themselves with issues that directly affect every citizen. This concept has been made more difficult with the rise of issues like abortion, contraception, and gay rights, but the main goal for politicians stays constant, and that goal is to maintain a stable, well-working society with citizens that are content with their lives. Although it cannot be said for sure whether John Locke would support abortion or whether or not Rousseau would fight for gay rights, it is still important to understand how these men explained the way political theory can be shaped by religion and how our religious rights as Americans came to be.